welcome to the Easily Excitable podcast. My name is Topham, and with me this week is Spencer. Hey man, how's it going?
Not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. It's been a hectic week at work. We've just, so at work, our year's split into two sections. We've got November to May and May to November. And because it's just switched over into the May to November phase, we need to do a management review of the previous 6 months. And the consultant that previously handled it has left, and now all that responsibility falls to me. So I need to speak to nearly everyone in the local company. I say local company, I'm putting it in quotes because I'm part of a global company of 12,000 employees. Really, I need the local company of 50 employees feedback on how they feel the site's working and how everything is working together. And yeah, I've got a lot of work on my plate to try and sort that out. And then I've got a training course away over the next week. By the time this has come out, this well gone. Where I'm going to be in Amsterdam at the global headquarters, learning stuff about how to implement management systems better and in relation to the new standards that were brought out 2 years ago, which is all boring nonsense that I happen to be learning.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've got the opportunity to go to Amsterdam for 5 days, basically. So
okay.
I'm very much looking forward to visiting Amsterdam and, checking another city off the long list of cities I'd like to visit. And yeah, from what I've heard, it's an interesting place. There's a gig on Wednesday night that I really want to go to, that I might go to. I'm not sure. I'll find out.
So why wouldn't you?
Because the place that it's at requires a membership to go to, to get into the club. I'm just like, I don't want to pay the membership, but I think you can pay monthly for a membership and it's not that expensive. I need to do a bit more research, but yeah, I'm very aware that I'm just yes, I'm gonna very, very keen to go to this gig. But then I've also got to balance it with the social side of going to a training course and going for meals with people also on the training course, who are going to be coming from all across the European area, not the world, for this training course. But yeah, so yeah, work's crazy, and they're sending me to Amsterdam. So woo, kind of, I guess, hopefully.
Well, it'll be a fun experience for you. Come on, let's face it now.
Totally.
Anytime you get to travel for work, regardless of purpose, it's a good experience to have.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I get to explore the world at the company's expense. Woo! So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be a good time, and yeah, I've never been to Amsterdam before. I've heard good things about it. I've been to the Netherlands about this probably in about February or March last year, and that was nice. I went to the south part of it, and that was very nice. But yeah, now I'm looking forward to flying in. It's a trip I'm kind of making all by myself as well. Whereas last time I took a trip to the Netherlands, I flew with a colleague. And that was interesting. But this time, yeah, I'm going solo, and hopefully everything's organized for me and I can get to the places I need to be.
You need what a lot of touring bands have is it's an itinerary, but basically they call it the Big Book of Lies. Because nothing ever happens exactly as the book says, generally.
Yeah, hopefully everything will go to plan, and that we get out on time each day, and everything goes according to schedule. And yeah, I'm really interested to actually see the plant I'm going to as well, because it's the global headquarters, and it's not just headquarters and offices. It's a production plant of it's a logistical plant where they move through a lot of solid fertilizers. Seeing that whole operation going would be a cool thing to do. But yeah, I've been to another one of the plants where there's solid fertilizer manufacture in forms of granules.
Right.
And that's a whole ridiculous thing on its own. I work at a liquid fertilizer production plant as well. So I'm gonna kind of have seen it all in the business. And
Nice.
yeah, I'm looking forward to just visiting that plant in general. I didn't get round to even sending an email to like some of the people I know that work in headquarters there, so that I could be like, recommend me some restaurants to go to.
Yeah, that's what Google's for, dude. You can.
I know.
You can look that up quick enough.
Yeah, I know. I could just be like, oh, recommend me some restaurants, and also go to dinner with me so that I have some company, so I'm not a lonely solo person.
You know what? But that's not entirely a bad thing either. I mean, when I was I took a trip to DC to sort of job shadow at the Smithsonian Folkways Archive back in June of 2015, and it was really fun to sort of just be able to. When I was done for the day at the Smithsonian, to just, if I so wanted to, I could go wherever I wanted. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to worry. I mean, yes, it would have been nice to meet up with someone and say, hey, cool. So what's good here? That kind of a thing. But Google was my friend in terms of, I'm looking for tacos. Mm-hmm. Oh, there's some place called District Taco that's just up the street. And I get there and yes, it's horrible, but I could still find it if I wanted to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's sad. I never had a decent taco the whole time I was in DC. I was so looking forward to having a decent taco. But that's it. I had lots of great food, but this place was particularly blah. There's no. It was as tasteless as it gets. It's just there was no flavor to it whatsoever.
Oh man, there's one place I've definitely picked out that I want to go to. That's an Indian restaurant, and I love me some Indian food. So that's one I'm definitely going to go to. I just need to find like 2 more meals, and then I'll be fine. That's fine. Like 2 places to go and eat. Yay! That's not really a challenge. So yeah, it just depends on what kind of food I want to be eating. But yeah.
That was something really cool that was going on right outside the building of the Smithsonian Folkways Archive at 600 Maryland. Every weekday, there was an armada of food trucks outside the building. Mm-hmm. And I mean, everything under the sun you could possibly think of, you could get. I think there was only one place I went back to a second time, and that was the grilled cheese, the artisan grilled cheese truck. Mm-hmm. Just because, like, when I went there the first time, I was so torn as to what I wanted to get. I had to go back, like the last day that I was in town, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'll get that other one this time. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I never ate the same thing twice. In terms of, aside from that, just because there was so much to choose from there, and it was all ridiculously good. So yeah. Anybody goes to DC and they're just farting around the National Mall, 600 go to 600 Maryland and right out for lunch and take your pick. I mean, literally from every type of food you could possibly think of. Mm-hmm. It was so good.
When we were in Austin for RTX, or even this year going to RTX, then we've got a plan of what places we want to go. There's places we still haven't been, but there's a lot of places where everyone's like, yeah, I want to go there. And I'm just like, I'm a vegetarian. I can't go there. But yeah, I'm totally like looking forward to going back to Austin as well. And just, I don't know, having a foodie tour while we're there. And I think we're only there for like 4 days. So it's just choosing the meals wisely.
Making them count.
Yeah. So yeah, that's totally a thing that I'm looking forward to. Just I like eating food. Unsurprisingly, most people
I do too.
Like
you can't
food,
really
right?
tell because you're not looking at me, but man, look at the weight I got on that belly right there now. Good God, I am the heaviest I've ever been. I haven't lost any weight at all. I have been slowly, like glacially putting it on for the past 2 years, and 210 pounds. That's not very good. No. Yeah. And I'm doing some sort of cycling charity ride in July for, 60 kilometers, and I haven't touched the bike in roughly about 2 years. So guess what I'm going to be taking out and tuning up this weekend.
Woohoo! Bicycling.
Yeah, I can't wait, actually.
Nice. I need to get back on running and going outside and actually doing things, because I've got back into Taekwondo, and we got thrashed last night. Just utterly thrashed. I got back in and I was just like, I'm aching, I'm sore. So it's just sitting in my my taekwondo trousers, which are nice and baggy and airy. Took my top off. I was just like, I just need to chill out. It's too warm for me. It's only like 14 degrees outside, and like my apartment's only like 19. And I'm just like, melting because it was just insufferable how hard we'd been working. But it was worth it, and now I'm just like, I'm aching today, but I'm kind of like, oh, I need to get back on that train because I forgot how much I like it.
Yeah,
how much I like the hard push from the instructors.
For me, I'd have been at it earlier, but man, the weather here has not been kind. It has not been a good spring for us. I mean, it's starting to get really nice outside now. Like we've had a couple days now in a row that have, had double digits.
Woo, double digits!
Oh man, well, I mean, there is a massive ice pack just off the north shore of Newfoundland right now, which is actually bringing down the temperature and affecting the weather systems in my part of the world.
Yeah.
Which is nice for tourism because with the ice pack, that brings in a bunch of icebergs. And I mean, there was one down off Fairland there about 40K away from the city that actually had grounded, and it was huge. Like they landed a helicopter on one little tiny outcropping of it. And the helicopter looked like this little gnat sitting on top of it. It was a monster. It made international news. And so with the ice pack comes icebergs, but with all of that comes cooler temperatures and a delayed spring, so to speak. So,
so you're just going to go from like beginning of spring to summer in like a very short period of time, prospectively.
Pretty much, yeah. That's if we get a good summer. I'm really hoping for a good summer. Winter was nasty here, man.
Yeah, it sounded.
Jeebus. Christ almighty. Between the windstorms and the freezing rain, we had freezing rain on Monday morning. And then mid-afternoon, it was 12 degrees above zero. Like there was a quarter inch of ice on everything when I left for work in the morning. And by the afternoon, I was walking around in my T-shirt. I was like, why do I live here? I was like, oh, no snakes, no killer spiders, no nothing like that. Excellent. I know why I live here now.
Yeah.
Distinct lack of poisonous creatures that need a warm climate.
Yeah, that's one of the things I like about the UK. No dangerous animals. Like Rachel pulled up in her carport the other day and there was a big snake laying in her drive. I was like, oh, she was like, it's safe. It's a friendly snake even. It'll only like suffocate you. And it's only a constrictor. It's fine. But it gets rid of all the other useless things, like dangerous snakes. And
it's like it cares about you as it's crushing you to death.
Yeah. Oh, dear. Cool. So I've been fancy recently and got myself some new pedals for my guitar. While I know what they are, what they do is something I am mediocre with knowing. So I got myself an MXR micro chorus. MXR do have an analog chorus, which is apparently the best chorus there is. But this micro chorus was second hand, so it was half price. So I was like, I will take it. And then I also got this, which company makes it? Stag make these little pedals called Blacks. And they're like 25 to 30 quid each. And they seem to be pretty solid. They're about 1/3 the size of like your typical Boss Stomp Box, which are like kind of, I don't know, they're kind of like, the Boss pedals are like really kind of standard pedals.
Yeah, when someone says I have a Stomp Box, that's what you think of is the Boss size chassis.
Yeah. And this one's like 1/3, 1/4 of the size. It was cheap, but it seems to do a funky job of giving me some extra delay here and there. It's got 3 controls on it. There is a time, an echo, and a feedback, of which we'll get into what each of those functions does. It's probably very similar to the tape echo that I've been using because it is.
Yeah.
Similar.
that one, yes.
Yes. So we already really kind of understand the delay effect, and that's cool because the delay effect's a lot of fun. You've got your echo, which I believe is the volume of the subsequent echoes, and then the feedback is how much. Oh,
Yeah,
I don't know.
how much repeats? Yeah,
Yeah.
how
many
much you want
repeats
to
you're gonna be
fold
getting.
back into it to get more continuous repeats and extend the number of repeats that you have.
So yeah, that's a lot of fun. And then fronting it all, I've just got my standard compression sustainer pedal, just because that's just a simple pedal that helps me play a little more smoothly, I guess, and just gives me a nicer signal going into everything else. So why don't I pick up my guitar and demonstrate, and then we can kind of try and understand what's going on.
Sure.
Cool. So right, let's
Is that
see what
like
this
a sock that you have around the top of your head guitar?
Yeah,
or?
I have a sock tied around the neck of my guitar. Okay, so this isn't going to make much sense if. Well, no, it will make sense, right? So if I've got my guitar, that's my guitar. That's nice. That's all lovely and everything. But if I'm like fiddling around and doing like arpeggios and things, so I'm like, but if I put the sock on, then I'm not going to have any worry of like any of the strings making any noise.
Oh,
when
you use it as a dampener.
Yes, I do. That's the word I was looking for. So yeah, I use it as a dampener just so that like if I am going to be like playing arpeggios, then I can play them like super clean, and the sock just takes up any of the noise that could be generated from the strings just vibrating as I pull it off.
Yeah, as you pull off, yeah. Typically what I've done is like a little piece of very, very soft foam, like packing foam, almost like you get out of like computer parts and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You get the really, really nice soft stuff. You can just get a really thin piece there and just cut it just thick enough that it's just touching your strings. It won't drag your tuning out of whack or anything like that, or it won't screw up intonation or anything. And it just takes out all those little ringy dingy dings after the fact.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been using a sock for so long. So long. But yeah. Anyway, aside from that, I've got
I'm sorry, I went to a very dirty place when you said I've been using a sock for a long time.
Oh dear. Oh, I shouldn't have said that, should I? Oh no. Oh dear.
Oh, come on. You knew a conversation with me was eventually going to end up in the gutter.
I know, right? Oh, dear. Okay, so I have... For all intents and purposes, I'm going to use two different pickups. I have my bridge pickup and my neck pickup. The setup that I've got is the John Petrucci signature set from like 5 years ago. So the Damasio... Liquefier and Crunch Lab. The Liquefier is the one in the neck, and the Crunch Lab's the one in the bridge. And so I've put them into my Ibanez S, and the guitar plays very nicely. I was trying to check like the truss rod settings the other day, actually, to see whether it's set correctly. All intents and purposes, and what I can tell, it is set correctly. There's no fret buzz. There's no like extra noise going on, and yeah.
Stays in tune when you go up the fretboard?
Yes, absolutely. As far as I can tell, for sure. So, yeah. So I'm going to be using the neck pickup for the most of the time. Just because when you're playing like chords and nice things, especially with these pedals and playing clean, it's definitely more the sound I prefer. So yeah, let's just have some simple chords. It's nice and clean. That's
nice
fine.
And warm, yeah.
And yeah, let's put some effects on it. So I've just put the compressor on. Let's see if we can see any difference. I don't know if we can. You can hear a significant difference actually in that. Well, I can anyway.
Yeah, I can. Well, yeah, even just coming over Skype, I can hear that.
Yeah. So we've just got the compressor sustainer on there. Just above middle on the attack and sustain on it. And what's that doing? That's just narrowing the signal.
Yeah, just giving it a little squish on the dynamic range, that's all. And shaving off a little bit of the loudest stuff and just sort of flattening it out a little bit overall so you can get a much more consistent sound, and it'll actually last longer before it actually fades out, because once it'll stay above that threshold. It'll compress as long as it's above that threshold. As soon as the input goes below that threshold, well, then the compressor will release, and then the sound will sort of fade away.
Yeah. Cool. So that's a fun thing. I'm going to turn that off and turn on the micro chorus now. So we're going to have. I've got it on a relatively low rate. We'll get to what the rate means in a second. So then we've got. And that there's doing some funky things that I don't particularly understand, other than making it sound like the 80s.
Well, yeah.
Okay. So what do we have going on there?
Basically, the rate is referring to a chorus pedal is a modulation. It takes analyzes the incoming signal, and it sort of modulates, frequency wise, it'll modulate down a little bit and then back up to the original signal, down and then back up. In comparison, a phaser pedal will go down and then up and then down, up over the original in terms of frequency, and then down again. It'll go both sides of the mean frequency, shall we say.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
When you adjust the rate, you're adjusting how fast it does that dip. So
Okay.
if you have it nice and slow, it'll be a nice if you have a fast rate, it'll go that kind of a thing, right?
Okay, cool. So let's try that out. We'll start with the low rate, like I was just using. And then we'll bump the rate up and see what happens.
See how much faster it happens now?
Yeah.
And you didn't change depth at all, did you?
No, this pedal is very simple and has one knob.
Oh, right.
So it just has a rate.
MXR, right. Uh-huh. So the depth
I know
is...
that the analog chorus has a depth as well, but
Yeah.
the micro chorus just has a rate. So you're always getting
because basically, so the depth is preset and you cannot change it.
Nope,
So regardless of rate, it's always going to modulate the same amount of, it's going to modulate the same amount of frequencies every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And so all you're going to do is affect the rate. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah.
That's a fun thing about the micro chorus. It doesn't have a depth to it, but I'll be honest, I like the sound that it produces anyway, so we're good with that.
It's a good way of adding a little bit of thickening to your signal.
Yeah.
Is essentially what's going on.
Yeah. So what we can do with the compressor sustainer is narrow it, and then we're just like, we need it to be bulked up a little bit. Shove the chorus on. And then we're like, yes.
So not only are you giving yourself more sustain, but you're also essentially, it's wrong to say that you're doubling up on it, but you are adding a bit of depth to it in terms of when it's adding, well, a chorus effect is hard to describe it without actually using the term, but where you're modulating the frequencies underneath the mean frequency and then coming back up to it, you're actually sort of creating a second waveform per se.
Okay.
So which then layers on top of your original one.
Cool.
And if you had a depth control, you could adjust how far down that modulation goes. Yeah. So you can get some really wild effects.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So the last one I've got is this little Black's delay pedal. We've used delay in a form of tape echo before.
Mm-hmm.
This just gives us extra signals after the original note. So playing chords doesn't really do it any justice.
No,
you can kind of hear a little bit of what's going on, but we kind of need some notes. So you can hear that it's kind of doubling it a little later than I've got. I have, like I said, time, echo, and feedback. So we can play around with those endlessly. It'll
Absolutely,
feel
yeah.
to get some really weird effects. And so let's bump the time up, bump the echo down, bump the feedback down, and we'll see that there's not actually going to be anything that happens. Nothing happens there because the echo and the feedback are off. Let's turn the echo up. Or play some notes. So we just get one repeat there because the feedback is down.
Yep.
If we were then to turn the feedback up as well, then we start getting multiple repetitions of the notes.
Right.
And then, the time also just dictates how long it is. So you can turn it really short as well. And if you turn it really short, then you can just really make it kind of into a reverb where you've got basically no time that's going on between notes. And then also you can bump up the echo and the feedback. I hope I don't bump them up too much with a low time, and then you can just like yeah,
that's what will eventually happen.
That's what will happen when you play too many notes and give it too much stuff to play with. It'll immediately like feedback, and that's the thing. Like, I'm trying to get to the point where I can just be like, yes, I'm going to set it, and then it'll last for a long time, but not go into feedback territory, and it's really difficult to get it exactly right.
It is, especially. I mean, if you, your guitar, and your amp are all in the same room, that will multiply it as well. So yeah, if you're going to go extreme with it, you might want to get an extra long cable and be in a different room.
Be in a different room and just have some headphones.
And I mean, that's in a recording setting, so I mean, you can get away with it there. But I mean, if you're in a live setting, well, you're kind of relegated to your stage, right? So
yeah. So what we've got now is I'm going to put all three on at the same time. Actually, no, that's not true. I'm going to put the compression sustainer and the chorus on. Then I'll put the compressor sustainer and the delay on. And because the compressor sustainer doesn't do much when I've got them in sequence, other than like prepare the signal for going through the process, I will put them on all at once. So when I've got the compression sustainer on and the micro chorus, it sounds kind of like this.
Bit of David Gilmour going on there.
Yeah. I know where my influences are. And okay, and then just I hope this delay setting is okay. And then it sounds even better when we've got all of them together. And yeah, I'm learning more and more about effects chains and how to really implement and use them. Because I've got more pedals than this, and I'm still like trying to figure out where they all go in sequence, and I want to add my equalizer in there.
Right. I'd say put your equalizer in after your compression pedal.
Okay. I was going to, try out with that, but if you say that's where you think it should go, then put it there.
That's typically where I've seen it fall.
Okay.
Not a lot of people.
I was either going to put it in front of the sustainer or just after. So that's like where I would try and put it. And,
because that's more of a sort of an to use a recording vernacular, it's sort of an insert versus an effects. That's sort of a processing. Versus, same with the compression pedal. It's more of a processing thing than, say, an effects thing. And you tend to want to put your processing first, because that will set up your sound, and then your effects sounds can sort of shine, or you can be a little more liberal with what you do with your effects then, see? If you try, because if you try and put that all in front of, say, the EQ and compression pedal, that's going to do some really weird things.
Mm-hmm.
You see?
Yes, yeah.
Might cause it to go a little crazy sometimes.
Yeah, so you don't want to be... Yeah, what I think about it is, like, if you've got a compression sustainer going on, you don't want to be creating a wild signal only to go into it to be...
Crushed,
basically, yeah. So you've got all these fancy things waving around above and below the waveform that are going around, and then your compression sustainer is going to be like, oh no, we don't need that extra stuff. Let's squash it all down and make sure it all fits in. And then you're going to lose some quality in the signal there. But
and you'll lose some of the intended effect.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yes. So yeah, I'm learning stuff, guys. You can hear it happen. Yay. So yeah, effects pedals are fun. They're too much fun. And
you could lose yourself in playing with effects pedals. I've seen guitarists come into the studio and literally spend an hour just fooling around with his pedals, and only for the producer to look at them and say, yeah, but we're going to do that in the mix stage. So take that pedal off, that pedal off, that pedal off, that pedal off. We don't need those pedals, just these and these. There you go.
Do it dry, and then we'll put the effects on later.
Yeah, we don't need too much LFO on all this. Just give us a straight sound. We can sort of manipulate it a little bit better after the fact. But if it's recorded like it, you're stuck with it, and you really can't do much. So
yeah, that's one of the things I faced as well. Like, because a lot of my software that I use to record, I can't loop back into it, so I can't really record clean.
Right.
So I record directly with like effects on it. That's not actually going to pick up like any bad playing, and it's going to be fixed the way it is. So I'm not really going to be able to process it. Right. And I'm very aware that I should be recording clean and then applying effects later. But actually doing that on my setup right now is very, very difficult.
Yeah.
Just because of the like limitations of what I've got to work with. But yeah, if I can record something clean on my amp, or not clean on my amp, like directly from my amp, rather than going through my effects pedal. Like, oh, that's exciting. Yeah, rather than going direct in, because direct in is lovely for what it is.
Yeah.
But I'd still prefer to be like, yes, I can record through a microphone, and that would be lovely.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, yes, in my setup here in the office, I am restricted to, very, very much so, recording just a direct sound and doing it all in the box, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Just because I have people in offices next door to me, I can't go running an amp. So fortunately, some of the amp emulators that I use are really quite good and virtually imperceivable to be amp emulators, within the box. So I can get away with it, but not everybody can. And that being said, amp emulators are getting better all the time. So I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, it tends to be a thing when you do some tracks and then you have to send those tracks off. It's like, well, I better process those to make them actually sound like amps first, as opposed to just sending off dry signals. I'll get it if I do that. I'll get a note from the people on the other end. So, what's that supposed to be? I was like, oh right, I was supposed to do that thing with the thing first. Oops.
Well, awesome. Right, Spencer, thank you very much for teaching me stuff about effects pedals. Yay!
You're very welcome.
Just guitar signals in general. So, where can we find you across the internet, and what fancy things do you have coming up? If you do have any.
Fancy things coming up. Well, we're still sort of waiting for the Achievement Hunt rap battle to come out. Apparently, it was well received during the Let's Play Live tour. I don't know, because it seemed like there was virtually a complete embargo on people posting about it. So I saw one little blip here and there about, that was cool. I was like, what? That was it?
Okay.
But apparently it was well received, so I'm happy about that. I can't wait for it to be officially released so I can, talk about it much more extensively.
Yeah.
I'm a little upset that the Let's Play community channel is on hiatus at the moment because I did shoot a behind the scenes video and that's all edited and pretty much ready to go. But again, we're waiting on the official release of the official song first.
Okay.
Yeah, not much coming out per se. There's a lot of things sort of still in the works that I can't really talk about yet. We're just
that's
waiting
fair
out,
enough.
trying to get some stuff done,
Mm-hmm.
But you can find me on Twitter at Spencer in NL, Spencer in Newfoundland for short, or just search me. I'm on the Rooster Teeth site as Granu, and I'm on SoundCloud as well, which I believe you can get to that through either my Twitter or my Rooster Teeth account. So,
Cool.
yeah, there we are.
Cool. I can be found across the internet at Destroy Topham or at Ethfar. This is the Easily Excitable podcast. I've got my website, ethfar.com, which is YTHAFAR. And yeah, it could just generally be found in places doing stuff. So yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Spencer, for being my guest this week.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Goodbye.
I'm going to get coffee now.
Nice.